How to make a homemade version of that delicious Dove bar. This one with a base of rich chocolatey brownie. And I'll make the brownies first. I'm cutting up 6 ounces of the very best semi-sweet chocolate. I'm using Valrhona chocolate, and notice that I'm cutting the bar up with a serrated knife. This works very well when you're dealing with hard chocolate. It just cuts through the chocolate beautifully, and I have a heat-proof bowl over a pot of simmering water. This is my double boiler, and I'm melting the chocolate very, very gently, and I'm going to use 1.5 sticks of unsalted creamery butter, okay? The water has to barely simmer, and this will just make a nice creamy mixture. Remember, this is the chocolate for the brownie itself. Mix in a bowl with a whisk 3 large eggs. Add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 cup of granulated sugar. And 1/2 cup of light brown sugar that's been firmly packed. And 1 teaspoon of the very best vanilla. Whisk that in and make sure there's no lumps in the bowl. If there are any lumps, and there seems to be just a couple lumps of brown sugar, the warm melted chocolate and butter will dissolve it. Now let's just check on our chocolate here. And then pour this right into your mixture. And now I'm just going to sift the flour right over this mixture and just stir it in until it's combined. This is 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Pour it into your prepared pan and make sure that your oven is turned on and preheated to 350 degrees. Make sure you butter the sides very nicely. It's a 9 by 13 inch pan. This is a very thin brownie, and this is going to bake for about 20 minutes. And now we're going to loosen the brownie that was baked a while ago and cooled. This has already been cooled. You can see the nice crust that the brownie gets on top of it here. And we're going to put a topping of ice cream right on top of the brownie. But we were going to want to lift this out later on when the ice cream and the brownie are frozen. So to make that happen, if you can, lift the whole brownie out of the pan and just place it on a longer piece of parchment. And put it right back in the pan. This way, when it's frozen, I'll be able just to lift the whole thing out and then cut it into the individual bars. And now the ice cream. I hope it's the right consistency. I softened it a little while ago. Now you can use homemade ice cream, but there's really no need. And this ice cream just should be softened either with the mixer itself, but this is exactly the right consistency. And just work quickly and put that creamy ice cream right on top. It's like the consistency of very heavy whipped cream. And when it's spread, now put this in your freezer. I've only done half the ice cream. This is 2 pints. So I'm going to freeze this, then I'm going to add my other 2 pints on top of this. Now for the topping, we have melted 40 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. This too, of course, can be your delicious Valrhona chocolate. And it's just over simmering water. It's perfectly smooth. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. This prevents the chocolate, once it's applied to the tops of the ice cream bars, it prevents the chocolate from just cracking. This enables you to use chocolate without tempering it. This is what the ice cream bar looks like. Not too hard, but hard enough so hopefully it will not melt. We're going to cut this big pan of brownies with ice cream into 12 bars, 4 by 3. So we'll divide this lengthwise in half. I use a really good heavy chef's knife. And I'm going to put this right back in the freezer to chill up before I coat the bars. See how handy that extra piece of parchment paper is? And these are ready. Now these we've trimmed all the edges off of. You can cut these into thirds or into quarters for bonbons, but this is the real generous size for a spectacular dessert. You can see the wonderful brownie base, the vanilla ice cream topping, which is very generous, and now we're going to take our melted chocolate and we're going to very gently pour it over the bar, starting on the tippy top. And the slower you pour, the more likely the sides will coat with chocolate. I'm using clean metal trays, and we're using good stainless steel racks. Any excess is going to fall down on the tray. Each one's going to take approximately a ladle of chocolate. And now just spread the chocolate just a little bit if you have to with your spatula. So even if you have a little touching up to do, if they get a little soft, get them right back in, but these are looking pretty good. So here are my bars, and I'm just making them perfect, covering every little spot so I can't see any white ice cream, and I must say they really do look good. But remember, don't be afraid to put them back in the freezer if they're a little bit melty. And you want them to be hard, but not too hard when you finally put them on the serving tray and give them to your friends. And I'm going to just plate these up. And they really are best eaten with a fork. They're nice with all the drippings attached. And here you have your very delectable ice cream bar.